All right, my G's, I've got a creamy sub bass for you this evening. It's very characteristic, has a character. It's got a mid-range to it as well. I think it's maybe my favourite sort of sub-bassy, sine wavy sound I've made in Vital. It's very, I'm going to talk about the subtle details. Let's have a quick listen to it with a beat. Really warm and creamy and powerful and sits around the drums in the stereo field. I probably need to mid-side EQ it, but I haven't done that yet, but it's still sounding good. What makes this this bass sound the way it does is basically a good use of FM and a good signal chain of sine waves. So that's the key thing. So we can start off like this, and a little bit of a pitch drop on the sine waves as well. So cheeky sine wave at -12, nothing done to it. Adding in the next one, this one's at 0, but we're going to turn the fine tuning up here on our LFO. So this is, I've done like a saw down, and I've just made a few points so I can change the kind of speed as it goes down. So the pitch is happening here, right? But if I turn this back up, so here it sort of starts with a higher detuning, then slows down. But I'm using all of these sine waves in succession as carriers. So this one, I can turn this one off already, this top one. So we're only going to have the output from one of them. And the FM is on, so we're already multiplying these two together via the FM, and it's up at about 15%. Okay, and this is at 0, obviously, as you see here. So the next one in the chain is going to be at -24 and a little +49 on the fine tuning. Again, just to create some detuning. And this one I've actually pitched it round, I think, the other way. Oh, is it the same way? Yeah, I think it still goes around to the right, just quite a long way round with the pitch drop. So on the LFO. So that one's down at -24, so that's the whole, they're all like a separate octave. And take the level down of the middle one again, so the signal chain just ends up in the last one, and the FM is on as well, so it's also going to come in from the second one, obviously. So you've got two things happening. You've got sine waves being frequency modulated into the next one and then into the next one, and that is always turning off the one from before, so the signal kind of just passes through to the end. And at the same time as that FM is happening, you've also got a couple of pitch movements between these two that are sort of changing via the LFO to create the movement. So the FM is kind of responsible for the tonality, and the pitch modulation is kind of responsible for the rhythm, essentially. So it's sort of fast and then slows down and then gets a bit back sort of in line with the beat again. So that's how it is sort of without the effects. But now I'm just going to massively beef it up. So first thing, a little bit of comb filtering. This is super subtle. It's 20%, and it kind of mixes on towards the end of the sound, the comb low-high flange. It's very... Yeah, you could turn it up and have a bit more of that effect, but I wanted to keep it quite subtle, that one. It's really subtle. The drive on the hard clipping next. Get that power and volume and saturation in the low end going, about 5.3 dB. Now this is where it gets fun, with the chorus up about 27% on 8 voices. This is where it gets really nice and wide, and I've also mixed that off on the LFO, so the chorus actually starts off less and increases towards the end to get wider towards the end. Alright, then the colouring compressor, the attack is up quite high, the release very low, and the mix is so small on this one because it adds quite a lot of power, and you could probably have a little bit more there perhaps. Then I've done equalizer to add in some air to the sound, because not really much high end anyway, because it's just sine waves, but there's a little bit up there. So I'm just kind of bringing up the air and dipping out a little bit of the mid-range. This sort of first sort of harmonic here was a little bit loud. That's a bit more balanced. The flanger adds a tiny extra little bit of modulation again. Sort of towards the end of the sound, the flanger comes up a little bit. And that's basically it. I turn the attack and the release up a bit. You can hear it's kind of clicking around a lot already, because that's just what happens with sine waves in Vital sometimes. But that's basically the whole idea, the creamy sub. And I've just been really, really careful listening to the minute details in the rhythm by how much I've pitched the sine waves by, and been really careful listening to the tonality by how much how much frequency modulation I've applied exactly. So the frequency modulation amounts from one into the next, and the pitch movements from also between two different sine waves, the slightest bit of difference is what I've focused on as I've tweaked it until it fit harmonically and also rhythmically with the beat. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Have a great sleep. Good night.